Great.
It's okay. My thought when I went to retreats was always, if I could walk away with 1 or 2 nuggets that I could implement and I could see time savings or see, produce something, I always felt like it was so worth my time. So hopefully everybody got at least 1 or 2 nuggets.
12.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Okay, so we're gonna talk about some more stuff about time management. Who's excited about that? Alright. So we're gonna dig into taming the digital beast. So as a primarily virtual leader, this was something that was near and dear to me because I saw so many consultants just drowning in social media every day. We're going to touch on some systems that you can put in place to handle social media, your calendar, email, literally anything that has to do with technology, okay? I told you guys this one will be a little bit different, so I'm going to be walking you through my systems and sharing my screen with you. And since, this is a smaller, more intimate group, I would love for our time to be a little more interactive. So if you have something, you need to explain something, just raise your hand and just say, hey, what about this? And I'm happy to walk through that with you. So first of all, we're going to tackle the elephant in the room first, social media, okay? That's the big one. So you got Facebook, you got Messenger, you got Instagram, you got Pinterest, you got Twitter, LinkedIn, you got all those things, right? We live in a very virtual world and a world where we're constantly being bombarded with new information, messages, literally all the things, right? All the time, okay? So I know from experience that this can make you a bit crazy. You're trying to cook dinner and ding, someone sends you a message and oh my gosh, you have to check because it might be important and then you end up burning dinner and your kids are crying and you guys are nodding your heads like this is happening, right? So we have to get this under control, you guys. And a lot of times we end up, is not going to share? Oh, it's not sharing. It's not sharing. It's not shifting to the other screen. Hold on. It's not shifting. All right, that's okay.
How about unplugging and plug it back in?
Hopefully. Hold on. Does that do it? No? We're going to figure this thing out. It's technology, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, never mind. We'll just skip that part, but I will have to shut that down in a second. All right, so we end up looking like the little dog from Up, where he's like, squirrel. That's what we look like all the time, right? We're squirreling all over. We were just talking about this. So that's what we look like. So before we get into the practical side, I want to talk about the sciencey side behind it real quick. Because there are actually some studies out there, you guys, that are super interesting. So I want to talk about why we are so attached to social media and why we even need to tame this thing to begin with. So according to an article by Harvard University, so this is legit, right? This is Harvard. Smartphones and social media platforms they support are turning us into bona fide addicts. Social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat leverage the same neural circuitry used by slot machines and cocaine to keep us using their products as much as possible. It all goes back to dopamine, okay? So this is a quote from the article. Dopamine is a chemical produced by our brains that plays a starring role in motivating behavior. It gets released when we take a bite of delicious food, when we have physical pleasure, after we exercise, more importantly, when we have a successful social interaction. It rewards us for beneficial behaviors and motivates us to repeat them. Yeah, that's what I said when I read it. I was like, holy smokes. So our brains contain 4 major dopamine pathways that act as highways for chemical messages called neurotransmitters. You guys have heard that word before, right? Each pathway has its own associated cognitive or motor process, and 3 out of the 4 pathways are considered our reward pathways. These guys are responsible for the dopamine release in various parts of the brain, and they work to reinforce between a particular stimulus or behavior and the feel-good reward that follows. So every time a response to the stimulus results in a reward, the associations become even stronger. Now it's not as strong as cocaine, but positive social stimuli gives you a similar hit of dopamine and then reinforces whatever behavior preceded it. And to quote Harvard again, smartphones have provided us with a virtually unlimited supply of social stimuli. Okay, so every notification, whether it's a text message, a like on Instagram, or a Facebook notification, has the potential to be a positive social stimulus and a dopamine influx, okay? So let's break that down to layman's terms. Think about this like training your new puppy. Okay, you've got a new puppy. You don't want the puppy to go potty in the house, right? So you train the puppy to go outside. When the puppy goes outside, you give the puppy a treat. So what do you hope the puppy eventually does? It goes outside by itself, right? Okay, this is exactly what we're doing, guys. Every time we have a positive social interaction on Facebook or on Instagram or whatever, we get that dopamine hit, and it reinforces the behavior to go back and do it again. We want the puppy to keep going outside, right? It's the same thing. So that's the science behind it. It's actually, I mean, and Facebook and Instagram and all those companies are doing their job, right? They're using social behavior to leverage the platform. They're in business to make money. I'm not mad at them. I'm just saying we need to understand why we behave like that so we can stop it, okay? So it's kind of crazy, when you think about it. And before you guys swear off social media, that is not what I'm saying at all. I want to be clear, I don't think you need to give up a Facebook and Instagram. We live in a very virtual world. It's not going anywhere, you guys. We just have to learn how to manage it, right? So it's not that I want you to give it up. I'm not going to tell you to stop Facebook parties, trust me, right? So first of all, there we go. Did it. Okay, there's my squirrel. Oh, no, it's not doing it now. Hold on. We got to shut this down. Let me close that. Will that give it to you? There he is! There he is, our little squirrel. Okay, good. So first of all, how do we get this under control? So first of all, I want you to turn off your notifications, okay? Turn off your notifications. I'm gonna close that down so you can't look at it. So first of all, turn off your notifications. So my phone is sitting somewhere in my purse. I know I have Facebook messages and notifications sitting there. I have no idea how many, and it really doesn't matter because it's not my time to work on that. Make sense? You cannot be driven by notifications. Turn them off. Just turn them off. And then when it's time to check them, go check them, right? When that's your time for your Pomodoro for checking your messages, okay? Go break it down like that. So you have to turn off the notifications first. So stop the temptation, right? We don't put chocolate in front of somebody who's dieting because that would be mean, right? We remove the temptation. So remove the temptation to constantly go in and check and be driven by those notifications. Just turn it off. Nobody's gonna die. There's no Facebook emergencies. We already talked about this. If it's an emergency, what are they gonna do? Call you. So no worries. We're also gonna stop the scroll. I've talked about this before. It's my favorite hack. It's my favorite hack. So we're gonna stop the scroll. So when you go into Facebook, if you're a virtual consultant, you go into Facebook with all these amazing intentions of getting so much done, right? Like I'm gonna check on my parties, and I'm gonna comment, and I'm gonna do all this stuff, and then all of a sudden, there's a puppy picture or a video, and you click on it, and an hour later, you are over on YouTube, and you've watched 27 videos of Great Danes or cats being scared by cucumbers. You know what I'm talking about, right? You're like, where did my time go? And you're just like in a fog. You guys know what it feels like after you've like watched too much? You kind of get a little twitchy. So how do we stop that? Well, first of all, we stop it with bookmarks, okay? I've talked about this before. We're gonna go old school. So bookmarks. Bookmarks are one of my favorite tools. So when I was running virtual parties, Kristen, what was the name of that host again that you told me?
I hear Becky's.
Becky, okay. Becky's, that one.
Yep.
Perfect. So when I was running virtual parties, what I would do is once I created this one of Kristen's parties, once I created all my parties, I would bookmark them. So once this party is created, I go over here to my little bookmark thing, and I say bookmark this page. Where am I gonna put it? I'm gonna put it in Facebook, my Facebook folder. That's what I'm gonna do. So I would create some folders that said parties. So I had lots of different folders under the Facebook umbrella. I'm just gonna park that in Facebook for right now. And I would say done. So when I go to my computer, I would do this. When I said, okay, it's time for me to check on my parties, I would say Facebook. Where'd it go? Becky's. Guess what I just skipped?
Trying to find it, yeah.
No, I skipped my wall.
Yeah.
I don't see what anybody posts. I go directly into the party group. Yeah. So what I do, so let's close this. So when I say, okay, it's my Pomodoro, I'm gonna go check on all my parties, I'm gonna go comment and interact, right? I got my timer set for 25 minutes, I gotta be efficient. I would say, I would go into, I've got my bookmark here. I would have a subfolder that said parties is what I would have. All my parties were in that group. And then that folder, and then when I created the next week's parties, I would remove all the old ones and put the new ones in. So I had Facebook party folder. I click there, it goes directly to her party. Okay, so I would just start at the top, click, 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 done.
Can you do this on a Mac too? Because you're on a page.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just, it's
Yeah.
Chrome. It's Chrome. Yeah, you can do bookmarks. You can do bookmarks in any browser. Yeah.
What about your phone if you're using, can you not do the app?
You can sync your, so that's, you have to be careful, okay? I would encourage you guys, if you're doing stuff from your phone, also set that timer. You would want to pin your groups there, okay? Because there's no way to go within the app if I'm using a browser. So this is why I did it from a browser, because I could control the chaos a little bit, because my phone is gonna keep pinging and gonna keep giving me those notifications, and I didn't want my time driven by notifications. So I would sit down with my laptop. This is just a discipline thing for me. I would sit down with my laptop, click, 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 done. And then I never had to really check in on Facebook on my phone, because that's where you guys start to do this number, right? We just start doing this, and we get lost, okay? So I would bookmark every party, and then when it was time for me to check in my parties, bam, 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 done, walk away. Done, done. The other thing you can use bookmarks for, so any groups, I use it for any groups that I normally visit. So I have all the groups that I go to there. My coaching clients have separate groups. My pages that I want to visit, anything that I normally visit. Send share, you put send share on there. Any group that you find yourself going to, your team groups, I have a separate folder for my team groups. Somewhere that you want to go all the time, it saves you having to type in, what's your team group? I don't know, Koi, something, something.
Amazing Superstars.
There you go, Amazing Superstars. You know how many things pop up when you type in Amazing Superstars, right? So bookmark it, when you have your time to go check on your groups or your pages, bam, 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 done, right? You aren't having to search, you're saving yourself minutes for each one. Now I realize that 1 minute for each one doesn't add up, but when you do that 20 or 30 times a day, right, a little bit is still a lot. So you're again, maximizing your efficiency and getting some systems in place. I also did bookmarks for anything like all my business websites, anything that I needed there. All of our banking stuff is there. So if I need to, go to my IRS website or my bank, I don't have to type it in and then try to figure out if it's the right website or if it's I don't have to figure any of that out. It's just there. So when I sit down to pay bills, it's just like, right? Anything that I have to log in to do, everything else is set up to auto pay.
You're amazing. That's a new one from.
No, I said that. You just
I
missed
didn't
it.
hear that.
You missed that, yeah. That's why I say things more than once.
Right?
Yep. Any courses that I'm taking. So again, break those folders up, and you guys, the folders, the bookmarks are an evolving process. This does not look like what it looked like when I started. So you're gonna find, oh gosh, I keep going back to that website. Well, let me just bookmark that. GIFs, however you wanna say it. Jiffy.com, GIPHY.com. I use them a lot in my parties. It was pinned up to my, it was bookmarked. So right here. So I had this because I didn't want to go. I had Pampered Chef website up there. Everything. Anywhere I was normally going. So I would bookmark that, bookmark this page. I want it on my bookmark bar because I use it all the time. Done. So now every time I want to find one, I click there. I don't have to go find the website. I don't have to type 10 strokes, right?
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Bookmarks. This is huge, you guys, seriously. So anything that you're constantly checking or seeing, okay? You can share these in your browser. You can share this to your phone. I have not done that. Again, I'm protecting my time because I know myself and I will start to scroll a little bit. So I keep it only on my laptop because that's where I want to work. Make sense? So I just know me. If you have more control than me, then you can share that to your, sync it to your phone and stuff like that. Okay, any questions on bookmarks? Who's gonna do bookmarks? Good job. That's the right answer. Good. How many of you already did this? Yeah, I told you about this before. Yeah, good. Okay, so we talked about we talked about clutter in your home and your office. I want to talk about digital clutter first of all. So let's talk about folders on your computer. If your desktop looks like a smattering of nonsense,
Want to see mine?
right? You guys. So I had some systems in place, every Sunday night was when I sat down and I prepped for my week. It didn't take me very long. It was like one Pomodoro, like 25 minutes, right? I would sit down, I would look at my appointments for the week, what tasks I need to do for the week, but one of the things I always did, and I still do, is I would clear off my desktop, because it becomes a catch-all. It's like your kitchen counter, like that one spot on your kitchen counter, you know what I'm talking about, where you have everything. That's what the desktop becomes, right? We save everything there. And then we try to figure out where it is, and we've got 1,000 files on our desktop, like we need to be able to scroll sideways on the desktop to find all the things. So what I did was I implemented a system where my desktop, I would look at it, whatever files were sitting there, I would move them into the appropriate folder if I needed to keep them. So if it was business related, family related, homeschool, whatever, it would go into its folder. So you see I've got a homeschool folder, I've got personal and family, and I've got subfolders under there. I've got a course that I'm taking, blogging, and then other business stuff, okay? So I have all the things that I normally am clicking on. And see, this is my presentation, right? I'm gonna delete that tomorrow because that's what I do, right? I'm not gonna delete it, I'm gonna put it in a folder. I'm not gonna delete it. But I'm gonna get it off my desktop. It doesn't need to stay there. Your desktop is not a filing system.
Great.
Okay? So you wanna put it in the folders, and then once I moved everything out of the folders, anything that was left, I deleted. Like, just delete it. If you didn't find a home for it, then you don't need it, right?
Right.
The other one that's really scary, let's look at this one. Same system, is your download folder.
Yeah, that
You guys are groaning. Yeah, so there's your download folder. So once a week, you can see earlier this week I have 43 things in there. So Sunday, guess what? I gotta clean this out. Because otherwise, I would be like, oh my gosh, where is that one thing, right? So a study by CNN said that we spend 55 minutes a day looking for stuff that we already own.
I believe that.
A day. Depends on your mouse, right? That's on average. There was one time I was looking for something in our garage, and that is not my domain, that's my husband's. And so I walked out to the garage and I was like running around in circles looking for stuff. I'm like, this is the 55 minutes. This is the 55 minutes. I'm looking for this stupid thing. Like, where is this thing? Right? So we spend 55 minutes a day looking for stuff that we already own. Because you know when you save that file or downloaded it, like that one file Haley downloaded, it was like 7914 blah blah blah. There's no name to it. You can't use the search feature. And then when you try to use the search feature, you can't remember what you called it. So you're like, oh God, I know I have that thing somewhere. I know I have it somewhere. Right? So you spend all this time spinning your wheels. Yeah.
If the searching for 55 minutes for something that you own is a time waster, then try searching for 55 minutes for something that you think you own. And your son got rid of it.
It's not like my husband. He's always like, where did this go? I'm like, I don't know.
I'm like,
It's gone.
I look for it and I look for it and I look for it and I look for it, and I finally called my son. I said, Logan, do you know where the lawnmower is? And he was like, yeah, about that. I took it to my house and it no longer
Lawnmower.
runs.
That's yeah, the download folder?
Yeah, so what you do is you save it during the week. You click your downloads again.
Yeah.
You save it during the week and you name it something appropriate so you'll know where to file it when you do want to file it. And
Yes.
then that coaching freebie will go into the appropriate folder there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it's just, at the end on Sunday night when I look at this, if I haven't looked through this thing and moved it to where it needs to go,
Yeah.
then I know it needs to be deleted. It's trash. I don't need it anymore. Make sense? Okay. Again, you guys, it's just systems, and this is quick. You feel like this is going to take forever, but it's really not. Yeah.
Is it more efficient to wait till the end of the week? I don't save, I mean, if I want to download, I save it immediately and I put the folder immediately.
Well, then there you go. I mean, it's up to you. It's up to you. If that system works for you, then keep doing that, right? So you don't want to get, we were talking about this too, you don't want to get, the thing with systems is you want to batch. So if I know me, and if I were going to go into my download folder every day, or if I was going to think about, I'm pretty quick like downloading and manipulating stuff, so I just want to dump it and then process it all at one time. So I kind of want to batch my brain a little bit. Does that make sense? So if I'm downloading a bunch of stuff, or I'm creating a bunch of stuff, I just want to download it and be done. I don't want to think about moving it to a folder because I'm batching the task. So am I making sense? So that's how my brain works. But if you got a system where you're consistently putting it away, roll with it. I'd say roll with it.
So did you ever use your phone? Cause I'm, you know, like you see stuff on Facebook, you didn't ever scroll on your phone for business, cause I like go, oh,
I did.
great picture,
I
save
did,
it.
and
Now I have all
usually
these photos.
regretted it, yeah, because, yeah, I'm not really, again, it's a time suck.
Yeah.
Like, you don't really think about how long you've been on there, right? And it's, you guys, it's okay to scroll social media. I'm not saying it's like evil or anything like that, but set the time aside and don't pretend that you're working. Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
All these pictures I have on here, I can't find when I need them for social media.
right, but if you had them on your computer, you could. And you can use, I use Evernote and I use Google Drive. Those are great ways because those will connect to your phone and to your laptop. That's a great way to share the folders. You know, so you could download them into your Google Drive, which is free, or you could put them on an Evernote file, or you could put them in SendShare. You could put them places so you can find them later.
I see you have Dropbox too.
I use Dropbox. My husband uses Dropbox and he forces me to go get stuff there. Like, I don't love Dropbox.
Okay.
It's not my favorite storage tool. I like Google Drive better. It's just a preference.
Okay.
But yes, you could totally use Dropbox too, because that will connect to your laptop and your phone. He forces me to use it.
What is your preference?
For what?
That was gonna be my next question, like, if I'm just scrolling on my phone, I've saved a lot of stuff, and then I forget that I even saved it. So I need.
If it's images, I would say Google Drive or like a Dropbox folder, something like that, because it's just going to be a folder. Evernote, if you're creating documents, I prefer Evernote because it's so easy to share, because it's a live document. You can do that with a Google Drive, but the thing I run into with a Google Drive, if I share a thing, it doesn't, like, I've had weird updates. So when I would share templates with my team or training files with my team, it would be an Evernote file. That way when I went in and edited that file on my end, it would automatically update theirs.
Yeah, I just need a place to find, like, when I wanna go sit on the computer and work, like, oh, those are all on my phone, like, I wanna be able to save them, then so I can
Yes.
access them.
So I would do like Google Drive or Dropbox or something like that, just to dump images.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good image dumping ground. Just make sure you put folders, like, you know, thank you posts or engagement posts, or, you know, organize the folders so you're not buried in 1,000 images. Does that make sense? Okay, so folders. So every Sunday, so tomorrow your challenge is to clean off your desktop.
Oh, it's not gonna happen in one day. One
So,
day?
okay, so here's something to think about. If you're staring at something that's really big, if you're staring at a download folder that is astronomical, your desktop is crazy, when's the last time you used any of that? If you haven't used it in the past couple of weeks, I would just delete it all.
You'll find more.
That's exactly, because you're gonna find more later and you're gonna find stuff that you like better, right? Because the images you create now are gonna look completely different than the images you create a year from now as you practice. So I would just delete it and start fresh. If you want to, what you could do, now if that makes you twitch a little bit, create a dump folder, bury it somewhere in your computer and move everything over there, and then you can get to that later.
It's like that.
I would just delete it.
You need to do that. She's a teacher.
That's
so she
cool
can.
stuff too.
Oh, so yeah, so put it in your dump folder,
I like that.
create a dump folder, clear it out, and then going forward, you can work through the system.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about email. Anything else on folders or bookmarks? Okay. Everybody's gonna go home tomorrow and work on that, right? All right, email. Email, okay. Let's talk about email. If you've got more than like 100, I've got 114 right now. If you've got like 1,000 emails sitting in your inbox, you guys, we gotta stop that.
20.
Okay, we gotta stop that. Oh, good. Yeah, so we gotta stop that. All right. The way that we organize emails, we're gonna organize email in folders as well. Okay, you guys know about email filters? Everybody know about email filters?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna show you how to use an email filter. So you want to create folders. So I have different folders for lots of things, right? I had a Pampered Chef folder. It had a bunch of subfolders. That's my kids.
Outlook that you use?
This is actually Thunderbird. Yeah, but you can do this in any program. You can do this in any program, okay? Just Google it. Somebody's got a tutorial video somewhere, right? The University of Google. So social medias, just all the different email types that I get in, okay? So what I do is, let's pretend Vistaprint. Okay, I'm just gonna use this one. So I get these emails from Vistaprint because I buy stuff from there every now and then. By the way, you should totally use Vistaprint and wait for the coupons because it's super cheap. So message, so I would say create filter from message. So it's gonna say everything from Vistaprint. I'm gonna call this one my Vistaprint filter. Everything from Vistaprint is going to, it says move message to, I'm gonna move it to, I don't know, where should I move it? I don't know, where should I move that to? I'll move it there, just so I can see it. Okay? So then I'm gonna say run now. It just pulled out all of my Vistaprint emails and it plugged them in here. Okay?
Is it just the stuff that's in your inbox, or can you choose to do that out of your trash folder too?
It
Like,
is
you
not,
accidentally deleted something?
it is not going to your trash folder, no, no. Okay, so like this one, I know this is Cub Scout related, so I'm gonna create a filter from this one, okay? Hold on, so message, you're just gonna create a filter. Create filter. So this one's gonna be Cub Scouts. So anyone, yep, I want anything from a Scout track, I want that to go to my Cub Scout folder. Okay, super simple, you guys, okay.
So it automatically will go there when it comes in?
Yes,
And then I'll have a.
So that'll save the time.
yes.
Oh, and I'm
Then you can just go to
not.
the-
When it comes in, it's automatically gonna go there once you create the filter.
So
So
how-
everything filters to all the folders, so I know when I'm looking at that, okay, I've got 4 Cub Scout emails I need to check. When it's my Cub Scout time, I go check those 4 emails. Make sense, light bulb?
Light bulb.
Okay, so it does it automatically. I don't have to think about it.
Is that all email accounts, or is it just?
That's that specific email account. I use Bell South and then I have another one, yeah. Yeah, but you can do that with anything. Yeah, you can do that with anything. Thunderbird, it's just an email program, it's like Outlook.
Oh.
It's an open source one.
Okay,
Yeah.
is that what that is?
Yeah, yeah, but you can use it with anything. You can do it with anything. So create your filters, and then it's gonna run the filters all by itself as the emails come in. So that means my inbox actually stays pretty low because everything's filtering to the category it needs to filter to. So like my Pampered Chef orders, all the order emails went to Pampered Chef. It wasn't clogging up my. All the order emails went to my Pampered Chef folder, right?
So are you able to like differentiate Pampered Chef, I don't know, like directors, emails?
Yeah, you can add, yeah, so you can add, you can say, you know, from Pampered Chef and contains director. So for example, I can show you one. So I had an exec folder. So anything that said executive, for our executive emails and stuff that we got in, it filtered to that folder.
So does it have executive anywhere in the email?
You can set it for the body, you can set it for the title, you can set it for anything.
So
Yeah.
sometimes, like, if, let's say I send you an email that I wanna be an executive.
It might filter, yeah, it would filter to that, but that's okay. I mean, it's gonna catch some things like that, yes, but for the most part, this is streamlining your email. There are a few random cases where it gets caught in the wrong folder, and that's okay.
Cause it's gonna show that it needs to be read, and when you read it,
It
you
shows
say,
it's unread.
oh, okay.
What can I do?
Yes,
Like,
it shows it's,
like, can I use this to get rid of all old emails that I have right now? Like, to put them somewhere?
I would just delete them. So, okay, I would create a dump folder, this is what I'm gonna do, Fran.
20,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo, okay, so you're gonna like have a whole new life after this
I
weekend.
know.
Okay, so what you're gonna do, if you have got a crap ton of emails sitting in your inbox, okay? We won't quantify it. You can create a dump folder and just move them all in there, okay? Just move them all in there.
Man.
And then if you need to go back and find something, you can search on that folder later, if you feel like you're missing something. But I'm gonna tell you, if 6 months goes by,
I know.
you can just delete the folder. Just delete the folder.
So, I think we're gonna talk about this, but I think I saw one of your videos, there's some sort of something you can run that like, it'll get rid of all your work.
Yep, I'm about to talk about that actually. Good segue. Okay, so the other thing you can do to tackle your email is you can use a program called Unroll.me. Unroll Me. It's amazing. Everybody at tell about this, they're like, oh my gosh, my head just exploded. So here's how Unroll Me works. It's free. Everybody loves free, right? It's free because what they're gonna do is they're gonna watch what emails that you unsubscribe to and what you're actually reading and keeping, and they're gonna give that to companies so they can market to you better. That's what they do. It's how it works, guys. It's cool. But this is life-changing. Life-changing. So what you do is I'm not gonna walk through it because I've already got it set up. Well, I guess I
It's
could.
amazing.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
so
you
you
wanna
walk
set it up
through.
on mine?
You ain't clean out yours. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can. So you just walk through the process.
Mary, I think the one thing it did for me was save me money, because I didn't get the ads.
Oh, there you go.
And I didn't run to the store because there was a sale.
That's
And I didn't think I was really doing that, but I was.
And time, because you didn't look through the ads,
It's
right?
true. It's true. Alright, I don't know, it's going to a different screen right now. So what it's gonna do, you guys, I'm gonna show you what it's gonna do. Alright, I'll tell you what it's gonna do. So what it's gonna do is everything's gonna filter through Enroll Me. It still goes to your inbox, you're not losing anything. It's gonna filter through Enroll Me, and it's gonna say, hey, Jana, right? Dana, oh, it's a D, I'm sorry. Looks like a J from this side. Okay, so Dana, listen, we found 72 subscriptions. Do you wanna keep this in your inbox? Do you wanna unsubscribe, or do you wanna add it to a roll-up?
What's a roll?
I'm gonna explain it, okay? So unsubscribe, obviously if it's something that you've signed up for and you just don't wanna get anymore, right? Like you don't have any babies in the house anymore, so there's no reason to get the Oshkosh emails, okay? You can unsubscribe, click unsubscribe, and it will do it for you. It will do it for you. So it's a whole list of all this junk mail that you're getting. All my Pamper Chef emails, I'm like, oh no, wait, I need to keep those, keep in my inbox. So it set a rule and Unroll Me, and all the Pamper Chef emails will go straight to my inbox. Now, if it's something like Old Navy or Target that I enjoy shopping at because I have kids, okay, then, and I don't like expensive things, then I would say I want to see that, but I don't necessarily want to see that in my inbox all the time, because again, I don't want to be distracted by the sale, like I don't want to deal with that. So what it does, I say add this to my roll-up. And then once a day, it sends me, right here it is, today's roll-up.
Yep.
Every email that I sort of kind of want to keep, but I don't necessarily have to look at. So it's okay if I don't ever look at that email, because it's no big deal. But it groups them into one email, and then I can see everything. Make sense? So all my sale things are in there, any blogs or anything like that I sort of kind of follow, they fall into there.
So it's one email with the emails within it?
Is it Unroll Me? It's Unroll Me?
Unroll.me.
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 Okay.
Already did it. If you just delete that, you have it lost.
No,
If you don't do it from your
you can just delete it. Yeah, so if I'm not interested, like if I look at this really quickly, so I'm gonna look at this really quickly. Okay, so I've got some blogging, I've got Amazon in here. Oh, I should probably look at that subscribe and save email, yeah. I've got some other stuff in here, something from Amazon, another thing from Amazon. It looks like my kids bought something. J. Crew, so there's some things in here. Okay, well I probably need to look at that one, right? So I would probably keep this one, but if I didn't see anything that needed me to take action or that I didn't want to do, I would just delete the email. But I wasn't deleting 10 emails or 5 emails, I was deleting one that I was sort of kind of interested in. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But that blue bar that says every day, we found this many emails, do you have to answer that one day
Nope,
or not?
no. So what I did in the very beginning, you're gonna wanna log into Unroll Me like once a week, because you're gonna start to filter through all of those subscriptions. And it will say, hey, we found, like this says, 80 new subscriptions that you need to take action on. So when you log into Unroll Me, it will say, we found this, add to roll up, keep an inbox, unsubscribe. So you just click through all of them, make decisions on all of them, and then go about your day. Okay, it takes like, I don't know, a minute. It's pretty quick, it's just a button.
I have it, I wasn't sure I was using it correctly.
Yeah.
I did this after the last retreat that you did, and I felt like I was in this like constant like unsubscribe, like I don't know when I signed up for this what, so I would go through the steps to unsubscribe the way, and then
It just
the next day I would get the email again. I'm like, I went through the 5 steps you told me to do, and now with this, it does it all for me, and I'm not getting like, I'm like, they're really gone. I
Right,
don't
and
get
it's
them
like
anymore.
when you look at your email inbox and it's only like 5 emails, you're like, what happened?
And so it really doesn't work, you know?
Yeah.
It saves so much time.
So much time, you guys. Okay, so everybody needs to go home and do Unroll Me if you haven't done that.
Okay, so like I'm going through and I'm doing it right now. One of them that popped up was like GoDaddy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have several domains with them, but
Yeah.
they send me junk mail all the time. So if I just swipe left, am I gonna get a renewal notice or no?
Yes, that's what you want to be careful with,
Okay.
right? That's what you want to be careful with, yeah. So if it's coming from the same email address, what I would do is I would set up a folder on your email and do a GoDaddy, folder. If it's stuff that they may be, set up a filter for GoDaddy. That way you still keep it, but you don't have to look at it in your inbox. And that way you still get those notifications and stuff when you're, because we've been there for the thing.
Mary, when I tried to do it, it said that it didn't support the .me.
Oh, that's interesting.
And Patty said, oh, I did it.
Huh, I
But
don't know.
I tried twice and it didn't.
But yours worked, Patty? For what?
Okay,
Make
so-
Patty do it.
I'm gonna make Patty do it.
Delegate that one.
No, to my email is toolsforsuccess@me.com. And they said that they didn't support, it wasn't a Gmail, it wasn't a Yahoo, it wasn't,
That's weird. Did yours do it? But yours did?
okay, yours is not,
Oh, okay, so maybe it doesn't support that one.
yeah, okay.
Sorry, you have to just keep filtering through all your emails.
Sadness, just,
Yeah, or change your email address.
oh, yeah, there we go.
Or do the folder thing.
Yeah, just filter the filters.
Filter thing will be
Okay.
great.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever goes in there, and then you can just delete the folder.
All right, any other questions on email? Filters, unroll me.
This is a great time saving thing.
It's
Wow.
huge. It really is huge, you guys. When I first heard about that, I was like my head exploded. Okay, so let's talk about calendar systems, time blocking, task management, all that fun stuff. All right, I'm gonna move. I have 15 minutes, Kristen. Is that right? Okay. All right, so I showed everybody this at the last retreat, and this is something that is huge. Okay, let me see if I can turn my paper shuffle back on. I'm gonna turn off the other ones. So, hold on. Okay, so hold on. Let's do, nothing's in there. Let me do one where you actually see something. So what I would do is, I use a Google Calendar. So Google Calendar is a great way if you lose stuff or you forget that your spouse had an event and you had an event and then the kids are like left by themselves and you don't know who's gonna watch them and you're kind of panicking. So my husband and I share a digital calendar. We have the same Google Calendar. So we know that when he adds something to the calendar, I add something to the calendar, I can see it. Okay, this is a way to kind of double check ourselves, make sure that nobody's fallen through the cracks, right? So what I did when I was with Pamper Chat, when you're thinking about your week, what are the things that you need to do each week? You have to host coach, you have to set up parties on Facebook, you have to, if you have a team, which you guys do, you've got to send some team communication, maybe you have to schedule some graphics, there's things that you have to do every single week, right? On Monday and Tuesday, those were my team days, and you don't have to follow this, find the system that works for you, but Monday and Tuesday were my team days. Those were the days that I checked in, I scheduled calls, I did all that stuff, okay? So that was my team days. Wednesday, Thursday were my host coaching days, and that was my party setup days. That was strictly for my personal business, all right? So when I set up my host coaching calls, I set them up back to back to back, batching, and I would only do them on certain days. So I'm not smattering my schedule with all these different things. I was very systematic because when you do the same thing over and over and over again, you get very efficient. My host coaching calls were the same every single call, right? So I was just saying the same thing back to back to back to back to back. Make sense? So you want to batch your tasks together. If I'm creating training, that's going to be on a Monday, Tuesday. If I'm creating, Facebook party templates or something like that, that's going to be on a Wednesday, Thursday because that's my personal business days. Make sense? If I'm doing booking follow-up, that was always on a Thursday. Recruiting follow-up, that was always on a Wednesday. So I was doing it. Does it make sense how you're batching your stuff together? You're not trying to do 15 things each day. You're just doing the same thing over and over and over again because you become very efficient at it, and you're just basically repeating yourself. So what I would do is I took my Google Calendar, and I would say, okay, so Sunday night was typically my night that I messaged my hostesses, because that's when I was prepping for my week. Sunday night was my prep for my week. I would say, set up host coaching, calls for.
You just went back a month or two.
It might be on there, but I delete them as I complete them.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So I would say, I'm gonna add this I have different calendars, add this to my Pamper Chat calendar, and I'm going to say more options. So when I'm setting this up, I'm showing you guys how to set this up. I would say this is going to repeat weekly on Sunday, okay? And what this does, it's an all-day event. So every Sunday, when I looked at my calendar, it says set up host coaching calls. And I don't have to have like a task list, it's sitting right there, okay? Make sense? So I would do that. Then what happens when I don't complete, like I've got to schedule an eye exam on Monday. What happens if my day gets crazy and I don't schedule an eye exam, okay? All I would do, you guys, move it to the next day. So when I look at my week, my week tells me up here all the things I needed to do. And all my repetitive tasks, like my host coaching calls, we're in October, all my host coaching calls, they would sit there. And then if I didn't complete it, I would move it to the next one. Make sense? So it was a constantly changing task list, but it was a way for me to keep it in front of me and not have to keep writing a list because that's not efficient. I don't want to keep writing lists. I'm doing the same thing every week. I just need it to repeat itself. Did any of you guys like to write and rewrite lists? I used to love to do that. Like, I would love to. I love lists. So this saved me from myself rewriting and rewriting and rewriting the list. Okay?
Can you print the calendar?
You can. You can. So I use this. I'll show you just kind of a practical side. Like this is my son's science assignments. So he prints, and there's his school assignments. Okay? So these are all his assignments, and he just prints this out. He just prints it out, and that's the schedule for the week. Make sense? So you can add them in. I would add in my tasks as a all-day event and set it up to repeat. Okay?
Can you show how you set it up to repeat again?
Yeah. So if I'm gonna, I don't know, give me a
Oh,
task.
never mind, I can figure it out.
Well, you just go in here and you just edit
Yeah.
it. And it just, this button right here, daily, weekly, monthly. So when I would schedule my team posts, I would do that the last week of the month. It was typically on a specific day. I always change my team banner on Monday. So on Monday, it would say, change team banner. I would set it as an all-day thing, add it to the right calendar. And the reason I had different calendars, you guys, is because my husband doesn't need to know what I'm doing with my business every day. Like, he would go bonkers if he saw everything, all the tasks that I had to do. So change team banner, weekly on Monday, and save. So then it shows up. So if I forget or something happens, life happens, then all I have to do is move it to Tuesday. And then when I complete the task, I delete it. I want to just delete this event, and done. My goal at the end of every day was to have this space clear. I want to get through all my tasks, or I want to assign it to a day when I know I can complete it. Like if it's birthday shopping, or I use it for personal stuff too. If I have to go, get a gift card or something like that, then I know I need to, or a wedding gift, then I would put it on a specific day that I can tackle it.
Is there a way, instead of deleting it, to like put a check mark? Because the idea of deleting what I've done makes me feel unproductive.
It's empty though, so you
It's
feel
empty.
productive.
It's a clear thing.
And to me, when I look back, if I see nothing, I feel
You see
like
those
I've
cross
done
marks
anything.
and it's like,
I need to check it all.
So what I would do, Angie, is I would print out your calendar and cross through it.
You know
If
what
that
else you
makes
could do?
If that makes you feel better.
You could change the color.
You can change the color.
You change the color and make like a folder that says finished, and when you click on the finished, all the red will come up, and then it'll.
You can do that.
Get a whole bunch of stuff.
I mean, is somebody else like me? No. You can use the taskbar. I like to be able to, I want to see my calendar. I like to see it like this. So use the taskbar instead. There you go. Use the taskbar instead.
So you showed us your paper calendar earlier, do they coincide?
So my paper calendar is more overall strategy. I am thinking of big picture. That's what I'm this is my daily task to-dos. So my big picture stuff happens on my calendar because I'm planning like promotions and stuff like that a month at a time. I want to see I don't want it cluttering up my daily tasks. Does that make sense? So I use the paper calendar really to look at holidays, to be visual about my strategy overall. So if I was thinking through, okay, well, I want to do some team training. Okay, well, I'm going to schedule that in here. I'm going to pencil that in here. And just getting an overall big picture. This is too cluttered for me to think about overall strategy. So this is like a micro view. The paper is more like macro. Does that make sense? It's just a big umbrella picture. And you guys, no system is going to work perfectly. Like my system may not work perfectly for you. So you take the pieces and parts that work for you, you adapt it, you change it, and you find the system that works for you to streamline.
Does this work in iCalendar? I think it does.
Yep.
iCalendar
Yeah, and this
as well.
goes to my phone. So right, so if I'm standing there at church and someone's like, oh, there's a baby shower on blah blah blah, I'm like, sweet, add it. And add my baby gift like 2 days before, right? So I can add those things on there where I'm not losing my mind and I'm not dropping stuff. Okay? All right. So calendar, time blocking. Oh, and I want to show you guys. This was my schedule when I was with my first job. So I do my, I was very strategic about my time. I only worked Monday through Friday. I did not work on the weekends unless I was working on a big project. So as an executive, I worked less than 30 hours. It was a very intense less than 30 hours because I was very efficient with my time. Okay, it can be done, you guys. You just have to get rid of the noise and focus. So this was my schedule, so I blocked. It looked the same every single day, all right? My school time, I didn't check on parties. I checked on it during snack time, which was that 15 minutes my kids didn't need me. Just make sure that Facebook hadn't blown up, right? But I wasn't using that time to really engage. That was just making sure that the stuff got done, right? That nothing had blown up. So again, this is what I did. And then my office hours were from 2 to 4, 2 to 4:30-ish. So I would go into my office, again, into my space, and I would work through my time blocks, my 25-minute time blocks. What's the thing I need to do first? I'll probably need to check on my parties first. 25 minutes of that, done. Okay, now what are the other projects that I need to work on? Is it scheduling host calls? Is it host coaching? Is it team check-ins? Those were the time blocks that I could do those things because that was the time that I was in my office. I set up really strong boundaries so they didn't cross. So my team was not, my leaders knew when I was checked out and they knew if Facebook was on fire, they could call me on the phone and I would pick up. Because I knew if they called me, it was an emergency, right? Right? But if they messaged me, it's not an emergency, they're just want an answer, right? So an example of how this played out. So I would not check messages. I would use again, the Pomodoro method. I would have set times that I would check messages. That was it. So I would set the timer, I would go in and check messages and be done. I did a little experiment one time because I realized that I was scrolling all over the place. And I thought, this is ridiculous. I am answering messages all the time. My husband said to me, you are not a vending machine. And that was so powerful. He's like, people cannot expect you to answer at all hours of the day. They just can't. So you're not a vending machine. So I would set these times aside to check Messenger. And what I found was a little experiment because I had been like answering all the time. And by the time I got to my office hours, 2 o'clock-ish, I had, I think, 9 or 10 messages. That was before West Coast was really up and chatting. So I had 9 messages. 9 messages before, if I answered them immediately, would take me about 5 or 6 minutes. Because if they're live at that point, it's not just an answer to a question, it's a conversation. Exactly. But when I sit down to answer 9 messages, it's about 30 seconds each. Bam, 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 bam. And guess what? They're not online, so they're not gonna respond. Make sense? Okay? I also had a 2-hour rule with my team. I did not respond. Even if they sent me something when they knew I was in my office, I did not respond for 2 hours. Unless Facebook was on fire. Okay? Because you can see the preview of the message. If it's, where do I find the blah, 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 or what is the blah, blah, blah made out of, I'm not answering that. So I go back 2 hours later. It's not mean, guys. This is protecting your time. I would go back later and say, hey, so sorry, did you still need me? 9 times out of 10, they were like, oh, I found it. Yeah. Okay? It's so true. It's so true. And I had one time, one of the guys on my team, I went back 2 hours later and I said, hey, did you still need me? He's like, no, did you still need me? He said, yeah, I can't find it. I said, where have you looked? He said, I haven't looked yet. It's going to be easier to ask you.
Oh.
I said, well, go ahead, go look, and then come back and let me know if you can't find it. You guys, build a wall.
Did your team know the hours that
Nope.
you would be looking at messages or anything now?
It became a routine. They knew that I homeschool, so it just kind of became a routine. I didn't publish office hours because life happens, and what if I'm not in my office, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't publish
I
them.
need to, because I'm in that rut of like just constantly being available, and
Yep.
that's not good. So now I need to switch that, you know, and so kind of retrain their brains
Yep.
on when I'm available for them.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm just trying to think of the best method, just communicate with them and say, hey, just so you know, I'm gonna be checking in once a day.
Just don't answer.
I took from her in March, on March 1st when she spoke, and all I did was just an answer for 2 hours.
Okay.
I didn't tell them.
They don't need to know.
I didn't perceive that I was changing anything. I just did it. And it's amazing how quickly they pick it up and how quickly they start doing things on their own.
Yeah, and you guys, it's not, again, it's not, you're not being mean, you're protecting your time, okay? Because your time is not best spent talking about the warranty for stoneware, okay? It is not best spent finding out, the price or where you can find the whatever. they need to go look for it, because that's the way they're gonna learn best. And you don't want them to be dependent on you all the time, right? These are business owners. They've got to work on their own, okay? Yeah.
I was gonna say, and now with the dash, I go in and see if they've done the training on
Yep.
whatever they're asking about. And
Yep.
respond, there's 3 classes on that.
Yep.
Why don't you take those and see if you can come up with the answer.
You know, I feel like I've heard somewhere before, I don't know if it was from you or not, that there's a way to make Facebook look like you're not active, you're
Yep.
on, so they turn off. How do you do that?
In the chat, you can just say, it's not, you show as not active, or something like that. There's a setting that's in the chat. Yep, it's in the chat. It doesn't matter though, it doesn't matter. I had one person message me, she messaged me, it was one of my leaders, was messaging me at like 11 o'clock at night, and I don't check messages after like 9 o'clock. And so she kept messaging me, and she would see that I was active, because I didn't worry about it. And so she would see that I was active. I was doing something I wanted to do, like scrolling through Facebook, looking at baby pictures. And so she thought she could message me, and she's like, oh, I just missed you. Oh, and I would message her the next day when I got into my office. Sorry, I don't check messages after blah, blah. It took about 3 times of me telling her, I don't check messages after X, time. And then she got it. She stopped messaging me late at night.
Do those same rules apply to, like, host and guests?
I
or
respond more quickly to host and guests. That's my personal business, and most of them are super sweet. They don't, they didn't care if it took me a little bit longer if I was in school. They would most of the time, I know you're in school, so just talk to me later, blah, blah, blah. So it wasn't a big deal. So host and guests were a little bit different. My team was the ones, they needed to like do their own thing, and I did not respond on the weekend.
What about your doers and consultants? Do you give them a little bit of,
I give them a little bit of grace, just a little bit. But I'm not gonna respond late at night, and I'm not gonna respond immediately, because I don't wanna train them that way. Make sense? If someone's working on a promotion and it's like the last 2 days of the month, yes, I will respond. Okay, I mean, there's some grace there, right? But for the most part, you don't need to. Like, it's not an emergency. There's no paper check emergencies. Nobody's gonna die, right?
Nope.
Nancy Jo, are there any paper check emergencies? Nope. Yeah. Okay, so real quick, you guys. I'm gonna wrap this up. So what do you think about this? So I know we're talking about time management, and bring it on. I want you to think about, step on subjects. I want you to think about, when you're thinking about your time management, is it really a time management issue? Is it really a time management issue? Okay? If you ever catch yourself saying something like, I know what to do and I can't seem to get to it, I just need a new system, I need a new planner. How many planners do you guys have? I know the pretty planners are so tempting. Okay? I sit down to work and I just can't get anything done. It might not be a time management issue, it may be a work ethic issue. Now, before you all get mad and stomp out of the room, I want you to hear me on this. Okay? It could be a work ethic issue. So when you think about when you work for someone else, your boss, supervisor, they control the hours you work, expectations, projects that you work on, they drive everything, right? But we don't have a boss. So you control when and how you work, right? Okay? So let's think about, what does a strong work ethic look like? Well, integrity, so doing the right thing when no one else is looking, because guess what? No one else is looking. You're in business for yourself, right? Not by yourself, but for yourself. No one else is looking. No one's standing over your shoulder saying, did you do that thing? Did you follow up with that customer? Did you take care of that thing? No. Professionalism, doing things that professionals do. This does not mean you have to wear a suit to your parties, but this means carrying yourself. If you say you're going to do something, do it, because that's what professionals do. On my business page, I do a live training every Wednesday, okay? We call it Work It Wednesday. So I do a live training. There are some Wednesdays I don't feel like getting on there. But guess what? I told them I would do it, so I do it because that's what professional people do. Make sense? Mm-hmm. So if you tell your team you're gonna do something, you tell your host you're gonna do something, you've gotta follow through, you guys. Discipline, self-control. So this is something that's hard when you don't have that boss standing over you, right? So you have to follow through on the tasks that are assigned to you when you work for someone else, but who's assigning the tasks now? It's supervisor you, right? Right? And they're assigning the tasks for employee you. The problem is you've got like all these conversations going on in your head about why you don't need to do those tasks. I need to do the laundry and I need to do the dishes and I really want to check on Facebook. So you've got to think about that. Sense of responsibility is ownership for the tasks that are assigned. You take ownership of why the tasks haven't been done. We can blame Facebook, we can blame our kids, we can blame whatever, but it's all you guys. I'm not trying to be mean, I'm talking to myself too. Okay? It's all you. It has to be you. You're the only person, right? Unless you have an assistant, you are the only person, and even they don't get to decide all the things for your business. And then quality work. You've got to produce good work consistently. That's an expectation when you have a boss, isn't it? Are you going to do a crappy Facebook party because you just don't feel like it? No, because that's not quality work. Is that the beeping thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to think about a scenario in your head. Just ask yourself this question. So does supervisor you need to drag employee you into human resources? What would supervisor you say to employee you if they were going to evaluate you? I'm getting lots of like, don't look me in the face. And you guys, I'm not trying to be mean. This is just gut check. You guys have learned so much this weekend. What are you going to do with it? What does supervisor you expect employee you to do with all this information? Right? So how do we fix it? How do you fix the work ethic? Well, you start now. Start now. It doesn't matter what happened in the past. It doesn't matter. Start now. It's like a muscle. Self-discipline, consistency, it's all like a muscle. You have to exercise it until it just becomes part of you. And you guys, I'm not standing up here trying to say I do all the things right. I don't. There are times where I've caught myself scrolling through Facebook and I'm like, crap, I just wasted like an hour. So there's still those moments where you have to just check yourself, where you're like, that is not what I intended to do when I sat down here at all. Okay? Or I think, oh, I'm just gonna hang out with my kids and I'll work with my computer on the couch. Nope. I get nothing done. Nothing. We've all done that, right? Because you're like, I just want to be with them. Yeah, but you can't work at the same time. That's not fair to them, it's not fair to you. So supervisor you may need to have a chat with employee you. Okay? And did supervisor you tell employee you what the goals are? Okay, doesn't a boss, a supervisor, if they're doing their job well, they speak to the employees and they tell the employees, this is where the company's headed, right? This is what we all need to do to get this done. Has supervisor you had a conversation with employee you and let you know what the whole goals are? I mean, really, have you talked to yourself and said, these are the goals? I expect employee you, I don't want anybody like going off and like split personalities or anything, but have you had that conversation with employee you to say, this is what I expect you to do, right? We've got to think about these things, guys, because as business owners, we're it. So make sure that it really is a time management issue and not a work ethic issue, okay? And it could be different things at different times. It really could be in different situations, okay? It could be that you didn't know the right systems. If you go home and you implement the systems, that's not a work ethic issue. That's just you didn't have the right system, right? But if it's you know the right thing to do and you don't get it done because you choose to do other things, that's a work ethic issue, okay? And some of us, I know sometimes it's hard when people say, oh, well, I just want to do this as a hobby. And a little gut check on you on it too, okay? I just want to do this as a hobby. I just want to be a hobbyist. We hear that all the time, right? I don't want to do this. It's just fun for me. How many of you sold a product in the last month? You're in business. If you sell a product, it's a business. I don't care if you want to make money. You can donate all your money. I don't care what you do with it, right? It's still a business, you guys. If we are providing service, if we're providing a product, that is a definition of a business, right? So you gotta check that one, okay? All right, so before we wrap up, I'll show you guys. So if you want to hang out some more, if you're really scared of me, that's totally fine too. But if you want to hang out some more, I do have a business page. So you can follow that, like that. And it's Doggone Virtual is the new business. So I go live every Wednesday. We've been talking about close coaching for the last 2 weeks. We're going to talk about holiday sales strategy starting tomorrow. So I go live every Wednesday. You can share that with your teams. I know Kristen's done that before. You guys, this is just another voice. It's another voice. Because sometimes you know they don't listen to you because they're your kids, right? okay? My kids never listen to me anyway. They always listen to other people. Same thing with your team. It doesn't matter who you are. Sometimes your team doesn't listen to you. So if you want those extra tools and resources, those are there. You can also connect over on the blog. And the blog, I'll show you one thing that I really enjoy about our blog is we have a direct sellers toolbox. It's free. So there's a bunch of freebies there. I mean, log out of WordPress, so you don't have to see all that nonsense up there. So there's a bunch of freebies. So we have a bunch of PDFs, and we'll talk on it. No pun intended, sorry. So if you go there, you can request the password and you can log in there. There's a bunch of freebies that you can have access to as well, okay? And then we've also got products on there. We actually designed, my daughter and I designed graphics for Facebook parties, intended for Facebook parties and social media. So we have those packs up there. And then I also do coaching one-on-one. So if it's something where you need long-term help with strategy, even if it's just a one-time call where you're like, dude, I can't get my crap together and I need you to get in the head, we can do that too. So those are all the things and all the ways that you can connect. And if you guys have questions about anything that we talked about, please feel free to reach out. I don't mind answering. If you're like, I have no idea what you said about this one thing. I know you talked about it, but I don't know. I'm not really sure what you said. Feel free to reach out and I can walk you through that. Okay. All right, you guys.
Yay!